Hey, Tyrese, what's up? Last Game 7 in the finals, Cavs against Warriors, LeBron James against Stephen Curry. You always said that you are a LeBron James fan. What do you remember from that game? You remember watching it? How was that day for you?
Uh, the day I don't necessarily remember, but yeah, I remember where I was. You know, I remember what the game was like, the energy of the game, being with my friends and watching it all together. And there's a mixture of Cavs fans, a mixture of Warriors fans, but I think that's probably one of the greatest games I've ever been able to watch as a basketball fan, and that's what makes Game 7 so so fun. And I think that, especially for people around my age, that is the peak Game 7. So yeah, I'm excited to add to the storied history of Game 7s, and add to just the history of our game.
Over here on the left.
Tyrese, now that they've obviously been really good at home all throughout the playoffs. You guys have now played a couple games in this building. Just how would you describe it, sort of trying to win a game here, and sort of how do you overcome the kind of home court advantage they've been having so far?
Yeah, I think like we've said over and over, I think the controllables are the most important thing here. Taking care of the ball, rebounding, playing with the right energy. I think something that's a underrated aspect of the game of basketball is momentum. And when you're on your home floor, and you make a tough shot or have an alley-oop dunk or make a highlight play of some sort, it gets the crowd involved. That's momentum that goes your way, and I feel like we have that with our home court advantage as well in Indy. They have that here as well. So you got to be able to weather the storm with those momentum swinging plays, try to create, momentum stopping plays when you're on the road. That's important as well. But I think just controlling what we can is the most important thing.
Dustin?
Tyrese, just how did you come out of Game 7 physically, basically, and what have you had to do over the last 2-3 days since to kind of maintain the conditioning with the calf?
Yeah, I'm pretty much in the same standpoint I was before Game 6. I'm still a little stiff, a little sore rather. Good thing I only had to play like 23 minutes, so been able to get even more treatment and do more things. So just trying to take care of it the best I can, but I'll be ready to go for Game 7.
Next row back.
Tyrese, we've been here for the last 7 games asking you a bunch of questions. But during the games, we do the play-by-play for ESPN in Portuguese. And after you hit the game winner in Game 1, I said there's something special about those Pacers. I'm trying to figure out what is so special about those Pacers when you look back to the playoff run, the game winners, the epic game, the clutch times. What is so special about those Pacers?
Yeah, I think as a group, we've just been very resilient throughout the playoffs. We're a group of guys that get along really well and are trying to do something special, and I think the expectations for this group from an external viewpoint coming into the year weren't very high. They weren't very high coming into the playoffs. They weren't very high going into the second round of the playoffs. They weren't very high going to the third round. They aren't very high now. So I think we just have done a great job of just staying together. And yeah, there's not a group of guys I'd rather go to war with. I'm really excited to compete with these guys in a Game 7, and it's gonna be a lot of fun.
A lot of naysayers coming into this series about what to expect. From the outside looking in, how would you rate this series? Obviously, one more big chapter to write, but great games, thoroughly entertaining, and ultra competitive.
Yeah, I won't be able to give you a real rating till it's over. But I think that this has been a joy to compete against these guys and play in this environment. I'm having a lot of fun with what I'm doing and what we're doing as a group. So as a basketball player and being a part of it, it's been a lot of fun. And I would assume from a basketball fan's perspective, it's been a joy to watch. So, I think that's the good part about this series.
Alvaro in the middle.
Alvaro Martin of Ritmo. Last year, your defense was 7th worst in the league in terms of efficiency. This year, we went up to 19th. In the last month of the season, you were the 9th best. But then when you see your efficiency in the series, it's better than Oklahoma City's as a defense. And when you look at your games against the top 10 teams in the league in the regular season, the #1 defense was Indiana's. Oklahoma's was 3rd. How do you explain that for the bigger games, your defense all of a sudden turns up 15 notches?
Yeah, I think we just do a great job of sticking with our system, not trying to move it from game to game. I think Jim and Jenny, who run our defense, have done a great job of just establishing, kind of our blueprint into what we do. And we're competitive guys. We want to compete against the best. And I think the buy-in from our group has been, amazing. Obviously, Drew, Aaron, and Miles kind of set the tone for what we do defensively. Pascal has been on elite defensive teams before. I feel like I've really taken a big step on the defensive end myself personally. And we just had a lot of different guys who want to compete on that end. And I think, last year we could score the ball really well, but we couldn't stop a runny nose, couldn't stop anybody, So I feel like we've done a good job of buying in on that end, and that's called for more success, but there's still a lot to go.
Joe here in the front.
Hey, Ty. Two follow-ups from the question that was about just the crazy run. The comebacks that you've been involved with, how have they become part of your team identity? And then also, when you are a team that maybe outside of Indianapolis, like you have surprised the league again, but you guys never talk about lack of respect or anything like that. You just seem to sort of go about it. So I guess the identity question, and then also maybe why you guys aren't outwardly talking about, we deserve respect.
Yeah, I think from our group, as far as like comebacks and stuff, I think we just have done a really good job of staying at games for 48 minutes, not giving up, understanding that no lead is really safe in the NBA, and just continuing to fight through the course of games. I think that's become part of our identity. As far as like outward calls for respect, like respect isn't something that we can just like talk about and then receive. It's like it's an earned thing. So I still think no matter what happens, it's still probably not going to be where necessarily it should be or what we think it should be. It doesn't really matter though. I think from our standpoint, when we compete and teams we compete against, they respect us, and I think that's the most important thing. As far as what the media has to say about our group, it is what it is. We are in a great point right now in our organization's history, and for our team specifically. You got to be really excited about the chance to compete one game to win a championship. So just looking forward to that, man. I think all the outside narratives and all those things, they come with winning and they come with success. So, we got the ultimate test coming up, and I'm really excited about it.
Last one standing on the right.
Terrence, hi, how are you?
Good, how you doing?
Good. For the past of 3 Game 7s in the finals, LeBron won twice, Kobe won once, right? So knowing those names, Kobe Bryant, LeBron James, what's the winner of the Game 7? And do you feel like, let's say, if you guys win this time, do you feel like you can just being in that name list? It's just such an honor, or how do you feel about it being the name on that name list?
I just think as a group, I think the important part about winning a championship is, you at your name in history as a group. I think that's the most important thing. But as far as like thinking about anything like that, I don't really think about what's to come after the game, success or not. Just fully focused on Game 7, and I'm trying to take it just a moment at a time, really enjoying what we're doing and understanding like this is going to be one of the biggest, if not the biggest game most of us ever play in our lives, and for our organization is from a historical standpoint as well. And that's something that you don't take for granted and you enjoy as a competitor. So I'm really looking forward to it.
Coach, Game 7. And I want to ask you about a lot of people in social media and platforms are comparing the T.J. McConnell role with the J.J. Barrera role back in the 2011 championship run with the Mets. What do you think about that, and how important is T.J. McConnell for you guys?
Very important, and I do see similarities.
Steve, up in the front on the right side.
Hi, Rick. Steve Eshman, NBA.com. A couple games ago, Mark was asked about, have you run out of adjustments yet? And he said no. I'm wondering now on the brink of a Game 7, have both teams seen pretty much everything the other team has, and it's all on the table now for execution, or do you think there's still things up your sleeve?
Well, there are more adjustments that can be made for sure. So we'll see.
Barry, straight ahead.
Yeah, Barry Trammell, Tulsa World. We talk a lot about the Game 7 pressure on the players. You feel any pressure as a coach to coach any different or make better decisions, or how do you approach, and what kind of an advantage is your experience over Daignault in a Game 7?
I love pressure. I mean, as you go on in your competitive life in sport, what you learn is that these moments are rare, and trying to duplicate this kind of situation is something that you look to do in everyday life, and it's not easy to do that. It's not easy to do that. I'm very much looking forward to Game 7. You know, these are the last time we've had one of these in the finals, I think, was 16. I've seen some things about that, and these are special moments for certainly for both teams, but for our league, for the game, you know, for the worldwide interest in the game, and so you know, it's a time to celebrate.
Fourth row on the left over here.
Rick over here. Before the series, you talked about how you expected a very exciting series, and here we are, 3 games apiece, a differential of just 7 points. Has it gone the way you expected as far as that excitement level, and is it something that you saw that a lot of others perhaps didn't see in this series?
I mean, you never know how it's going to go. I'd be lying if I said this has gone exactly as I expected. You know, because each playoff series, you know, each game is a different thing, and each game takes on a different personality, has different characteristics. Different guys step up, different situations happen, et cetera. So the truth is that nothing else previous to this matters at all now. I mean, we're just down to one game and one opportunity, and so you know, we're really looking forward to it.
Standing on the right side.
Obviously, Coach, besides you, how similar is this group and this playoff run to the one you had with the Mavericks back in 2011? And how much do you use it as a motivation for your group nowadays?
Well, there are some similarities. Certainly, the character level of the players on the team there are great similarities there. I mean, both of these groups, the 11 Mavericks and the 25 Pacers, just have great people. I see Oklahoma as having a similar type team. You know, the Mavericks team was more veteran than we are. We have veterans, but we had more guys in their 30s who had been in a lot of playoff runs and stuff like that. There's a difference there, but yeah, I mean, but you know, when it comes down to it, you know, it's 48 minutes. It's 48 minutes, and once again, we're very grateful for our fans. We're very grateful for our organization. Our staff is very grateful for, you know, the guys we have on our team and the collaborative spirit that we've had all year. And now it's one game.
Aurelia, down here on the left.
Hi, Rick, over here. There's a lot of talking at the moment how Obi Toppin developed as a player, especially when it comes to the defense side. When he was with the Knicks, we saw him as a great dunker, but never really playing that great defense. But now he became such an important role, also not just dunking, also having this impact on the defense side. So what can you share about what approach did you have to actually bring so much more out of a player, not just scoring, also being on the defense side?
Well, when we acquired him 2 years ago in the trade with New York, the first thing we talked to him about was the fact that we were thrilled to have him. We saw a lot of special qualities in him as a young player that still had a lot of development to do. We talked to him about defense and rebounding, that those are 2 areas where, you know, he still has significant upside, and that we were gonna commit to helping him develop in those 2 areas. What we've learned about Obi is that he's a great teammate. He's a great worker. He wants to be a part of something that isn't just about him. And so he's worked extremely hard, and he's improved in both of those areas. And so, you know, at certain points of the year, he's been one of our better defensive rebounders, and that had been one of his weaknesses. So, look, I'm proud of all of our guys, but him in particular, he's really come a long way.
Back right.
Yeah, Cliff Brunt, Associated Press. Chet Holmgren's been somewhat limited in this series from an offensive and scoring standpoint. What's worked and how critical of a piece has that been in getting you guys to the point that you are?
He's a great young player, and he's had a lot of stretches where we have not dealt with him well, and so, you know, like all their other guys, I mean, they've got a lot of great players on this team. We've got to do everything we can to make it as difficult as possible.
Joe, right here.
I know that this is a tough time for reflection with one more big one to go, but you go so far back in the state of Indiana and Indianapolis. This is your third stint here, obviously. What has this run up to now meant to you, just to be a part of it and the head of it, just given your long history in the state?
Yeah, I haven't been doing a lot of reminiscing about that. You know, when you are part of a playoff run that gets going and you can keep it going, you know, there's a part of you, and I'm speaking myself personally, you want to avoid thinking about warm fuzzy things. You've got to really concentrate on process. You got to keep trying to think of little tiny things that you know you can do as a coach to help enhance your players' abilities to play their best and things like that. But I will say that, you know, the 3 games of this series at Gainbridge Fieldhouse have been the loudest that I've ever heard that place. And you know, my first stint in Indiana in the '90s with Larry, you know, we were in Market Square for 2 years, and that was very loud too. And then we were in, it was Conseco at the time, in the inaugural year, and made an unexpected run to the finals that year. And you know, that was extremely loud too. I remember particularly Game 3, you know, after we had dropped the first 2 games to the Lakers. My second stint as a head coach, you know, we got to the conference finals that first year, and the place was rocking, you know, but I have never heard it as loud as I've heard it this year. So I know that means it's meant an awful lot to our fan base. You know, the story of this franchise is interesting because the franchise was almost lost at one point. There was a telethon to bring it back to life, and they had to raise a certain amount of money and sell a certain number of tickets so that the bank would foreclose on the franchise. And so, you know, Nancy and Slick Leonard had a lot to do with that. And then the Simons came in and purchased the team, and then from there it's been 40, 41, maybe it's going on 42 years now. I don't know. So, but it's a long, storied journey, and I know all this right now means a lot to our fans, and so you know, we've just got to focus on one game.
Last question in the middle.
Martin Ritmo. A few years ago, you installed an offense that relied heavily on passing, heavy passing, and that, whether it's causal or not, ended up with you not having a single or 2 single sources of scoring. Scoring was spread out as well. To what extent was that a decision made philosophically by you, given the material you had, the players you had, or to what extent did you think it's going to be very hard for the best defense in basketball to cover all these guys?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not exactly sure what time frame you're talking about or what year or whatever, but I just, you know, our roster is built in a way where we need balance. When we traded for Tyrese, it was pretty clear that we needed to play with tempo, and so Kevin Pritchard and Chad Buchanan have built the roster with guys that can run and defend around him, and so. But you know, in today's game, you know, roster construction seems to be changing, and a lot of the the best rosters now are built on balance, and that's certainly what we're trying to do. I think that's what Oklahoma's doing too.
Statistically, the bigger difference between your wins and your losses in this series has been on their end of the floor. I'm wondering and how efficiently the Thunder have scored. And I'm wondering, do you feel like the level at which you guys have defended has fluctuated from game to game? Do you think that's just random? Like, what do you think that is?
I mean, I think it's a long series, and sometimes you're gonna get people with best shots, and sometimes shots are gonna go in, sometimes they're not. I mean, I think our process is the same, but it happened in basketball. You happen to lose games, so that's what it is.
Michael here on the left.
Pascal, Michael Grange, Rogers Sportsnet, Toronto. Couple of questions. One, you had a front row seat for Kawhi Leonard winning a Finals MVP. Just that performance. Do you find yourself drawing on any of those lessons you maybe absorbed unconsciously or not? And two, your comfort level, just talking to your teammates, there's been moments in this series, in this playoffs, where you've really asserted yourself offensively, others where you've stepped back, let other guys do what they need to do, and just maybe those two things, just that experience watching Kawhi and then just your comfort.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's Kawhi, obviously an incredible player. I think for me, if it's one thing that I learned from like him and even that team is just being even killed. Like I think Kawhi, no matter what happened, he always was the same. Like that's something that I try to like have in, for me, it's like no matter good or bad, make shots, miss shots, like it doesn't really matter. Like just be yourself at all times, and that's something I learned from that. And I think for our team, it's just it's all about team. Like that's who we are. And anything that I can do to help my team win, like that's what I'm gonna do. And like there's no real thinking about like myself and like what I need to like at that moment. It's just about what we can do as a team to win. And sometimes it's defending, sometimes it's getting a rebound, sometimes it's getting a steal, sometimes it's scoring. So whatever I need to do to help my team win, that's what I'm gonna do.
Straight ahead, Barry.
Barry Trammell, Tulsa World. You're playing for a coach that's won over 1,000 games, won a ton of playoff games, won an NBA championship. What has his experience done for you guys, especially in these finals?
Yeah, he's been definitely a calming presence. Again, like his communication and like you said, he has the experience. He does a good job of preparing us for games, not only just like in terms of game plan, but mentally, and like he's definitely one of those coaches that, again, like talking to him and he can just like give you a good perspective on certain things and maybe make me look at things a little differently than I look at or whatever. But I think he's been so great with us in that, just preparing us for games and also putting us in the mindset like ready to just go out there and be ourselves.
Dustin here on the left.
Hey, Pascal. I know you reacted to this on social media already, but what the picture of you from the huddle?
Dustin, you're gonna be the one asking that, bro?
Yeah, why not?
All right.
What was your thoughts of what happened and what did you
Yeah, well, I didn't see it until they showed me in the locker room. I haven't been on social media, so I don't really know. But yeah, my teammates showed me. So yeah, we're praying, and I try to close my eyes. I have this problem where like I can't really close my eyes. Like sometimes I'll be thinking that I'm closing my eyes, but they're not really closed. And even just like having conversations, sometimes I would like look up, and it's like it feels like I'm thinking, and not, my eyes just go up. But yeah, it's definitely just something natural. Usually I try to do this so I could make sure I close my eyes. But that time I didn't, and it got caught on camera. But I mean, I'm glad people are enjoying it and having fun with it or whatever. But yeah, it's just literally I was praying and I was trying to close my eyes, and I'm thinking in my head my eyes are closed, but clearly they weren't closed. So yeah, that's just all it is really. I gotta, again, like my agent told me one time I'm doing the national anthem that like he saw that, and I was like, oh man, like I gotta make sure I close my eyes, like because those are the moments where I usually pray. So it's like when I do that, I'm thinking I'm closing my eyes, but I'm not. So yeah, I gotta do better. I gotta start doing this like I'll put my head down. Like, y'all can't look at me no more. And the camera, all this, the NBA with all these cameras too, like it's too much, man. Get the cameras away from us, man.
Couple of rows back towards the center.
Pascal, Milan from Weibo, China. It's a long series, and you play against a great team for 7 consecutive games. And you won the championship before, and then you are an all-star. And at this level, it seems like your maturity has come to another level. How would you describe your personal growth like throughout the series and the playoffs?
Like how to describe what? Sorry, just to. Huh? Sorry. Maturity. Okay. I mean, I think I just from experience, from being in these situations before, I think just trying to pour from all the experiences in my life and knowing that this is an amazing opportunity and like we are at the biggest stage. Not taking it for granted, and also just like knowing like how hard it is to get here. And I think for me, just the fact that I can appreciate that makes me just go out there, not get too down on myself when things are going wrong, and not getting too excited when things are going well. Just understanding that it's, this is the game. It's basketball, but it's also life. And sometimes you have good games, sometimes you have bad games. And I think just that whole understanding for me, like, just makes me relax and go out there and just do my job, because at the end of the day, that's what it is. We're playing basketball, and obviously all the other things make it like look bigger than what it is, but it's just ball.
Last question, Aurelia on the left.
Hi, Pascal. How are you?
Hi.
We love talking about, especially LeBron also loves to talk about, he brought the first championship to the Cavs, and you were someone who brought the first championship to Toronto, and now maybe the second time to the Pacers, and we don't really give them as appreciation. We just heard the question before. Sometimes it's Kawhi, now it's also Halliburton. Of course, you're a team, but how much we should give you more flowers and talk about what you actually do to a team, that you are someone who's maybe now the 2-time guy bringing a championship to teams who never had a championship before.
Well, first, I appreciate that. Thank you. But I think for me, like, again, I really don't look at it that way. I just feel like I'm in a position where I am today, man. Like, from someone, like, from where I'm from, like, to get here, it's pretty crazy. Like, so for me, like, I feel like I've already achieved, like, everything, you know what I mean? Like, just because of, like, I'm here now, and, like, nobody could really see this path for me, and except, God, and like, I'm here now, and to me, it's just, like, about going out there every single day, putting the work in, and just trusting God, and just giving everything that I have on the floor for my team, for myself, for my family, like my dad watching me, like, and just hoping that he's proud of me and everything that I've accomplished, and having, his name, like, everywhere, like, that, to me, like, that's what's more important, like, and all the other things, like, when I'm done, like, I look at it and then be like, oh man, like, I did this and it was great, but, like, for me right now, it's just, like, about the journey, and going out there, continue to do my job, and doing everything that I can, and I would say that, like, I'm not supposed to be here, like, a kid, like, from where I'm from, not supposed to be here, so I'm just so blessed, and again, it might be cliche, but, like, I just don't really care about all that. I just care about going out there and do my job, and maybe one day, I get the recognition, and it will be great then, but right now I'm still writing that story, so, like, I'm just focused on that.